With only hours left until the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025, which many people are calling the year the world pumped on in, will we get totally and completely dumped on? Or will Q1 of the new year deliver the most heart-shattering, bottom-pounding upside rally since the beginning of mankind, transforming the baby bulls once and for all into the baby billionaires? So if you understand the year 2025 isn't going to be big, it's going to be really big. Hit that like and subscribe. And without any further ado, let's pump on in. So to start off, I want to celebrate the departure of Gary Gensler. One of the best years in crypto has come to an end, and potentially Gary Gensler leaving the SEC, just that alone, not even just the spot ETFs and all of this, just Gary Gensler leaving the SEC is potentially the biggest blessing that the Moon Boys have ever received. What an absolute and complete butthead. There was an article detailing the price predictions of a lot of these top crypto companies with their prediction of Bitcoin in 2025. And as you can see, just looking over here, you see pretty much about a doubling from the current all-time highs is kind of like the rough estimate. The number you see the most is right around $200,000 per coin. Now, this actually, the craziest thing to me is if you think back to 2021's bull market, the craziest thing, like if you actually go back and read a lot of the articles, these are the numbers people were throwing out there back in 2021. So what do I mean by that? I mean that the price predictions that most people have are extremely conservative compared to the last bull market. The last bull market, we saw price predictions anywhere from about $100,000 to $500,000 per coin. And you even had some crazier ones, but for the most part, like the lowest price predictions you were seeing in the middle of that bull market were about $100,000 per coin. And Bitcoin didn't get there. It got to about $69,000 per coin. Nice. But it didn't get there. It got over halfway there, but it didn't quite make it. Now, as you can see here, we have already gotten really close. I mean, this prediction here, we've been above 80. In fact, we're above 80 right now. But all of these predictions really are less than a doubling of what the current all-time high of Bitcoin is about $108,000 per coin. So one of the reasons I bring that up is specifically because I think the collapse of FTX and the trauma that the crypto community experienced in terms of the dumpiness, the absolute giga dumpiness. Oh my gosh, it was pretty dumpy, right? With Luna, UST, I mean, a lot of dumpiness, I think absolutely scarred people. And I think it made them scared. It gave them some PTSD. And I think that absolutely has permeated into just predictions in general, where I think people are, if I'm being honest, I think it's likely that instead of overshooting instead of overestimating our predictions this time, I think there's a distinct possibility we might actually be underestimating some predictions for Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin spot ETFs, pro crypto administration and regulation. Just those factors alone, and there's other ones too, but just those factors alone, I believe, give Bitcoin specifically some runway and some potential price appreciation, price targets that I think might honestly come as a surprise to a lot of people. Where, again, I mean, if you think about it, 2021 was one of the most devastating actually, it was the most devastating psychologically crypto cycle that's, in recent memory, but also I think in general. A lot of people were devastated by it, and they're still afraid of it. These people still have PTSD. This entire run up in price, people have been like scared, and every time the price goes down 5%, people are out there saying, oh, this is it, it's over, bull market's over. And people have been saying that since Bitcoin was at 16K 2 years ago. And the whole time it's just gone up and up and up. But I still absolutely think that it's not guaranteed, but I think it's very likely that this could be this bull market could be underestimated as opposed to being overestimated like it was last time. And as well, as you can see here, Bitcoin for Freedom posting this, all Bitcoin price models will break in 2025 except one. The only one that will survive is the black hole model. Bitcoin will consume monetary energy like black hole, like a black hole. Honestly, I think that if Bitcoin truly decouples from traditional assets, if Bitcoinization or hyper Bitcoinization, I think now is the most possible time, the most possible cycle that we've ever had by far. I think if it was going to happen, I think it will be at the top of this bull cycle. And I think what I mean by that is I think that, you know, if nations continue buying, and as we're going to get to in a second, actually, I want to talk about that. If nations continue buying, things really go the pro crypto regulation route, and there's true continued adoption. Because if you look back every couple of years, there is a lot of adoption. It just, if you're looking at the news every day, it doesn't seem like much is happening. But if you zoom out, a lot of things are happening every year, even in bear markets, in terms of adoption. But we absolutely see the biggest ramp up in adoption in bull markets, right? That's when these companies start getting in. Maybe Microsoft, maybe Amazon, maybe all these companies will start allocating Bitcoin on their balance, or putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. And I think if there was ever going to be a bull cycle, it would be this upcoming one. Now, again, things could not be as bullish as well. Okay, I'm not here to only just say it's ultra bullish only, but people for the past 2 years even have severely underestimated this trend. Again, I rewind literally exactly 1 year ago, back on December 31st, 2023. Do you know how many comments I was getting from people telling me there would never be a Bitcoin spot ETF approved? There would never be a launch. That was like the thing back then. All these people were so scared from FTX collapsing and all these things. People just genuinely did not think anything good could happen. They thought they would only get dumped on. They didn't realize, wait, maybe things could shift in favor of this industry. And over the past 12 months, things have heavily shifted in favor of this industry. By far, for the first time ever to this degree, it has never been an environment that has the chance of being so pro technology, so innovation, so pro cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I think that if anything, people might be underestimating where we're heading with Bitcoin specifically. I do want to talk about altcoins as well. But yeah, so with that being said, take a look at this. I wanted to diverge for just a moment here and talk about this. Hyper successful people all have this in common. And basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's risk taking. The kids that, it kind of goes on, the kids who were afraid to smoke or you know, ditch class or something like that. These people tend to play it safe. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but all I'm saying is a lot of people specifically in this industry are very okay with risk. And they're basically okay with accepting risk. And for the past 15 years, really supporting and being invested in Bitcoin was a little bit riskier than, you know, just for example, investing in index funds or very safe investments. You needed to take a risk. But in large part, well, actually for everyone, if you bought Bitcoin and you held on to it, everybody is in profit. Everybody has done really well. And the point here is that you kind of need to be a little nuts. You need to be a little bonkers to truly like experience some of these insane outcomes and to potentially make a lot of money. I mean, for example, you think about it, somebody that it says right here, somebody that was a student that, you know, they might be happy making $250,000 a year and stop there because, you know, to get any higher than that, you might have to risk certain things or whatever. And they get complacent. And I have never been involved in a community that is less afraid of risk than cryptocurrency people. People in crypto are like the most risk accepting people on the planet. Like they're willing to lose basically everything. But not only have the people that have bought Bitcoin not lost everything, if you've been buying, you've been here for a full cycle. If you just held like steady doing that, not only did you not lose everything, you actually won everything. You've made a lot of money. So I think that's a really important mindset as we head into the new year, is that, yeah, sometimes there's risks. But if you're afraid of taking risks in general, not even just with investing, but if you're afraid of taking risks, one, your life is going to be kind of boring, and that's fine. Some people want to have like a boring life in some aspects. But two, you might end up regretting it when you're older. I think personally the time you should be taking the most risk is when you're the youngest, right? If I was sitting here making a video and I was 95 years old, I think I would have a little bit lower risk tolerance, but I'm not 95 years old. My risk appetite is much higher. And I think if you're young and you're watching this and you have the opportunity to take more risk, it could pay off. And you have to be okay with it not paying off as well. That's exactly the point of risk. Like, that's exactly what risk means. It's not a guarantee. You have to be able to take a risk. We also see that the cycle, as with previous 3 cycles for Bitcoin, all saw corrections at this point after the halving. Note how the corrections are starting later and finishing later, maybe to do with elongated cycles, all is well. And you can see, again, so far this cycle is no different than ever. We're still on track after the halving. And it looks like, very likely, over the next couple of months, we are going to see the most explosive, euphoric phase of this cycle in general. Now, we also see Hong Kong considers Bitcoin in their fiscal reserves, gearing up to hold big and boost the crypto scene. Also, we see that Switzerland is considering creating a Bitcoin reserve with a petition underway to urge the central bank to start buying. Guys, this is as Bitcoin is like right under 100K. What are countries going to be thinking and doing when Bitcoin's 150K? What are they going to be doing when it's 200K? The point is, we're already seeing different countries interested in starting like Bitcoin reserves and really getting involved. If you start seeing hundreds of billions of dollars from different nations, the price of Bitcoin is going to go up a lot, and it's going to go up pretty fast as well. So absolutely, I think that's, I don't think it's factored in for some people. I don't think people realize you can't just make some prediction like an arbitrary 2x position or something and expect that nothing bigger could actually happen. It could actually be way bigger. We also see about 50,000 Bitcoin were sold yesterday. From anyone who has held Bitcoin for longer than 155 days, basically the reason this is bullish is because the market is absorbing a large amount of the supply and not crashing, right? There's always going to be selling. But it's a dynamic of sellers and buyers. And in terms of altcoins, we see if we go back 4 years exactly, ETH was down about 50% from all-time highs. ETH BTC ratio was at a cycle low. Everyone was calling ETH dead. And then ETH pumped almost 100% in January and hit a new all-time high. And we're basically seeing that almost identical setup right here. Are we about to see an exact repeat of that, which would usher in the beginning of a true alt season? I think it's possible. Absolutely. ETH looks horrible right now, but that's exactly what ETH looks like before it starts exploding in these bull cycles. So it's nothing new. It's exactly how things have always gone. We also see Kush on X talking about his cycle target actually being on the higher end of about 300 to 350K and pointing out a 5th wave pumpy coming up soon here. So, always interesting to hear something like that. But we also see the record. There's a new record of Bitcoin network computing hash rate. The network is as secure as it's ever been. It is working better than it ever has. The higher this goes, this is a very positive thing. And it's the most secure network Bitcoin has ever been. Look at if you really go back to 2018 when things really started going parabolic, look at that. It's beautiful to see. And Bitcoin for Freedom also saying, if you don't think Bitcoin can go to $1 million in 2025, you don't understand it. I don't think it's the base case. I don't think that's guaranteed whatsoever. I don't think that's base case, but I think that, as his post says here, if you don't think it can, I think you don't actually understand it. Because even though I'm saying I don't believe it's the base case, I think a lot of things would have to go very right for it to happen. But if we start to see a snowball, and if we start to see nations really race each other to build Bitcoin reserves, then $1 million per Bitcoin is only the beginning. And it really is. If you actually look at the total addressable market of what Bitcoin can capture, 1 million quite literally is the beginning. It's funny saying that because $1 million per Bitcoin is like crazy and absolutely unattainable for 99.9% of people on the planet to own an entire Bitcoin if it was $1 million per coin. But what would make it easier? If you owned a Bitcoin now and then it goes to $1 million. So what I've been doing for the past 8 years is very simple. It's a unique strategy that I have pioneered myself. It's called just buying Bitcoin, right? I just buy it. I don't think too much about it. If I get some fresh cash, usually what I do is just buy Bitcoin. It's actually really simple. And it's worked very well for the past 8 years. In fact, it's worked incredibly well. We also see, I wanted to highlight, this is the fourth halving, which we just had in April of this year. And each one of these vertical lines, you can see right here, these four represent the quarters of this upcoming year. And I personally think that by the end of the third quarter, I think that what I'm going to be doing at least is having a lot of my altcoin gains, which I anticipate will be nice gains. I will be taking a lot of those altcoin gains and rotating them into Bitcoin at the very latest. I personally am probably going to even start doing that more so in this range, somewhere in quarter two. But overall, quarter four, the beginning of quarter four, so October of 2025, is, at least historically in the past, this is exactly when Bitcoin has basically topped out based on time. And yeah, but look at this. We still have a solid, let's even be very cautious. Very cautious. We have a solid quarter. And I'll be honest, I mean, even saying we have 2 quarters, so quarter 1 and quarter 2 is actually fairly realistic in my opinion. But a solid 3 to 6 months, I believe, that this price should go up. And altcoins as well, but Bitcoin as well, big time. Where we see right now, 3 weeks, we're in the red. I mean, really not that bad at all. But as you can see, even just today, we went and got rejected off the 50-day moving average right at about 96.5 thousand US dollars. Nobody can tell you exactly when it's going to happen, but we are actually seeing an RSI cross get very close, a bullish daily cross. We're seeing that we can see this daily momentum really quickly shift in terms of, I mean, this is exactly what happened when Bitcoin actually set a new all-time high. It was kind of trending down on the MACD, and then you can see how quickly it kind of just shift, gave us a nice little pump up to 108. And then it ultimately did go down for a couple weeks. But overall, yeah, I think the price looks fantastic. I think that even if we get a dump here, I'm going to be buying as much as I can. US dollar is actually up a little bit today. Will that change in 2025? Good question. And the stock market actually is continuing to be below its 50 and 21-day moving averages. So getting dumped on a little bit. And Michael Saylor is slightly under, or sorry, MicroStrategy is slightly under $300 per share. Overall, I don't think 2025 is going to be big. I think it's going to be completely massive. And get signed up with FEMEX or BITUNIX below if you want to buy Bitcoin, altcoins, or trade. And without any further ado, Happy New Year. Here's to a year of gains, pumping, and extreme pumping.